Hi, everyone who's tuning in to this discussion slash podcast, whatever it is. It's obviously discussing about My Hero Academia, and it's about chapter 260, in which it was an interesting chapter, less drama compared to what we saw for last week's chapter. But
Thank God.
yeah, I don't thank God. But just a quick going to side of things. How would you guys like rate the chapter? How would you guys like the chapter?
I guess
I
I'll go
mean, do you
first.
want to?
Oh wow, everybody goes.
I was thinking of going in Discord order.
Oh, Discord
Oh,
order.
okay, let's go Discord order
So I
then.
guess Conquer could go first.
Okay. And ranking a chapter, I'll definitely say it's a easy 8 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. It was really good. A lot of good subtle hints. I really like the showing off of the heroes, especially Mirko. Well, I can't wait to see what happens next. It was a pretty good chapter, especially after last week.
Mm-hmm. Okay, East.
Alright, it was a hard choice. It was either I had to go choose from a 10 out of 10, a 10 out of 10, or a 10 out of 10. But eventually I came to the decision it was a 10 out of 10. Nah, it was easily 10. It was perfect. The details in this motherfucker that these niggas got over 20 high end no moves when you actually pay attention. And it's not even just the ones on the bottom row. I zoomed in by accident. I seen this motherfucker had another tube at the top of the rails, like above his computer screen. I'm just like, nigga. I thought they had like 12. They had like 20 high end no, bruh. I was sorry, but I mean, I don't think Miracle finna. We're not gonna talk about that. We'll talk about that later. But beautiful artwork. My Black Queen was flexing. Camel Toe was out. Shout out to Zach. That's for Zach, y'all. Yeah. Keep moving.
Alright, Kaiser.
Oh man, you threw me off East with that comment. Oh my word. Nah, it was a good chapter. I would say, off the bat, I would say a solid 9 out of 10. Personally, I would have liked to see Mirko do a bit more. I mean, I guess it's kind of asking a bit much considering what we got already. But I just need that screen time, man. Is what it is. The art was good, and I have to say specifically, the doctor when he trips over. Oh man, some of these facial expressions are crazy. Man, I don't know what's going on in Hori's head when he draws this stuff, but man, this guy's something else. And I definitely like all like the little details when you look a bit closer. Something that East mentioned before. There's stuff like Present Mike's glasses start cracking when he's screaming and whatnot. But yeah, good chapter. I liked it. 9 out of 10.
I guess then I'll go. I give it 8 out of 10. I meant just because it was a really good chapter. I don't have nothing to like go and say anything wrong with it, but like I know he's gonna bring heat later on. Like there's more heat to come. So for me to give like a 10 out of 10 out of every chapter is like it's good. But when I'm gonna get that 10 out of 10, it's gonna be like a 12 out of 10. I'll have to rate at it. But you know, like for the scale, I'll put it as like a 10 out of 10. So this is an 8 out of 10 right now. But Mirko is one of my favorite characters ever since she got introduced. So to have her take up a huge part of the chapter was something I was happy to see. She is a queen. Alright, what about you, Chris?
I think I give it like a 9.5 out of 10. I really enjoyed the moment at the very beginning with Present Mike and Eraser, where they were having like their kind of payback moment. For, like, even though it was only for a few panels, it was really good looking. And obviously Mirko, because she's like my top 5, I'd say, pro hero right now.
Yeah, she's great. So I guess we could get now into the actual chapter itself, in which obviously that I love that first intro panel, which shows the Jakku Hospital within Denver. It says 80 kilometers apart. The Hawks on the Gungan Mountain Villa. Or that's like is it like a hotel, or it's just like a huge house? What would you guys describe? Just a villa, I guess.
I would describe it as a mansion. I always thought it was just a big mansion in the forest.
Yeah. I I guess it's that. But
Yeah, Mansion seems better.
yeah, I guess we'll call it Mansion. But then obviously it gets into Endeavor, in which they're chasing down the Doctor, Uchiko. Eraser uses his quirk, and then you see his skin starts to melt, in which it looks like the Doctor actually does have a quirk. What do you guys think about that? As like, I guess that's like kind of like maybe a secret, a reveal to like how you could be keeping someone like All for One still alive after like so many years, or what do you guys just think of that? I guess I don't know if it's really a plot twist, maybe a little bit, but I guess like him now actually having a quirk.
Conky starting, bro.
I guess.
Oh yeah, okay. I was just making sure. I like to get people, just want to make sure. But
Fair enough.
I think it makes sense in a way, because Doctor. I mean, at most, he probably would have been like maybe like approaching 80s, which I don't think would have been long enough for him to have meet All for One and have this connection and being able to do all. When he mentions in a chapter how long it takes to replicate a single quirk. So I think in a way it makes sense, and it was good that he had this type of quirk, because that means he can go back even further with All for One, and he could probably be like 120 now. Like he could probably play Doctor's 120 than before when he was quirkless,
Yeah.
So I thought it was pretty cool, especially when you tie it in for All for One. All for One is being alive with the quirk.
You know what? It was really interesting. I say. So I saw people trying to spin zone this to say, "Oh, he has a quirk, so he messes with the quirk registry," and someone tried to spin zone into like Deku possibly having a quirk, which we obviously discussed. Which we obviously discussed like last week, that we do not want Deku to have a quirk, or we don't want him to have like that life of where he was actually born with one.
Listen, I'm tired of this Deku got a quirk thing. That literally undermines the entire story that we have seen thus far. That's the complete disrespect to Horcrux. You saying Horcrux don't know his own story? Wasn't this a story about how all men aren't created equal, and this man just got a gift from God himself, essentially? Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree.
Nah,
with
that
you.
would definitely
Yeah.
be like a terrible like thing to have in
Yeah.
the story. That'd be bottom one moment for me generally.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I agree.
I told your
I would hard
quirk.
drop. I would hard drop.
Yeah, that would really ruin it.
There's no way you go for 14 years, because he was 4 when he got his quirk, and he was 15, I think, at the beginning of the story. So there's no way you go 11 years and not knowing you have a quirk of any kind. I find that too hard to believe.
What would it even be
Even
to
if it
begin
was like the
with?
simplest quirk, it would. I just find it way too hard to believe that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean,
Nah,
I guess
he probably.
you go ahead.
Nah, he would have been made into a Nomu if he had like a half decent quirk. I mean, if Bakugo, if he happened to encounter the Doctor at some point when he was younger and he wasn't made into a Nomu, and I mean, why you gotta why would the same thing, or why wouldn't the same thing happen to Deku? Right? It just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I think like part of that, I guess, like the Doctor, like the reveal of the Doctor having a quirk and like access to records. I think it's just like obvious. I don't know. Like for me, it's like I don't understand how like All for One was able to live that long in the first place. So like, it's also not surprising that he has access to like the quirk registers, so he can like forge his own record to like show like he does actually have a quirk, or he can even inject it with a quirk. That actually is a possibility. He actually like it's still.
You can't be injected with a quirk?
I mean, All for One could have given him something.
Oh yeah, that is true.
He could have been born quirkless and still just kept it on the registry. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because like I said, like All Might said, you can change the registry. You can change it and update. It mentioned that when in the beginning, in the very very beginning, when Deku was curious about how to update the registry since when he gained All for One.
Yeah.
And they briefly talked about. I can't remember word for word, but they briefly talked about it. And I remember how some people are, I guess, late bloomers with their quirks.
Yeah.
So, but I doubt in that case. In the Deku's case, I doubt that. But with the Doctor's quirk, yeah, Doctor's case, it makes sense.
Yeah. So I guess continuing on with the rest of the chapter, it obviously goes to them like confronting Uchiko, and obviously President Mike was obviously very upset to find that Kirogiri was Shirakumo, so he's like kind of the first one to go up to the Doctor and yell at him for using it evil. But I guess like what happened? Mirko busts through the morgue. People were being evacuated from the other pro heroes, and then I guess Uchiko had like a call sign. He said like it seemed like he said "Have mercy," and then like Nomu started appearing. Like you guys know what I'm talking about. And then it shows.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah. And then obviously it's just like kind of like a battle that happens. There's a huge like whale Nomu. And I guess the whale Nomu was just like, I don't know. I guess I wonder if his goal is to like just kill the Twice clone, because that clone obviously ended up being a just a Twice clone. But then it shows the fucking underground with the Ujiko with Shigaraki and that huge ass, what is it, just a water tube or
the Saiyan healing chamber.
Yeah.
That's what I call it.
He is on his healing power, his Goku.
Yeah, and then
the dynamic healing tube.
What's more interesting is that what do you call it? It shows obviously Ujiko running away, and it shows his entire wall full of like quirks, right? All those like individual glass jars and all these high ends, and he just talks about what do you call his life's work, which I don't know, like he killed all those people, I assume, or they're just dead and he still harvested their quirks, which I question. Do you still think it's wrong, even if that person, let's say, died from a completely different accident, if his quirk was to be harvested? Because you know how people have their organs harvested for a later point? Like, do you think quirks should be harvested?
Unless the quirk is your identity, it's still part of you. How would you feel if your sibling, your mom, and your grandma, and they just somebody went in there and started taking out all their facial features, their teeth, their eyes, and their fucking heart, and everything that made them, and just started like fucking putting it inside of other beings? How would you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean,
That's essentially the same.
And also, probably at the time, it's like people, if they're gonna have their quirks harvested, they're like, if someone, I guess, like asked to have their quirk harvested, it's like, well, why? It's like, what's gonna be a good use for? And it's well because obviously they don't know that quirks can be transferred, or like whatever he's doing. He's creating Nomus. But what was interesting, Mirko, that great panel of her just kicking all the. Did she defeat the Nomus? Or she's, I don't know. She's like hit them, I guess.
Yes, she did. No, she turned limbs off, like limbs, like heads, arms. Yeah, like all those Nomus are dead.
Yeah,
shit was going flying in the hallway.
Yeah, and then obviously she busts through the fucking door. Poor little Johnny's probably dead.
Rip Johnny. Rip
all those quirks hit the floor and crash, and then it's that great panel of Uchiko screaming once again to see his life's work destroyed. But I guess we could go into obviously it looks like, because John was like the transportation vehicle, and so obviously if he's dead, he can't escape. But I think, like we said in the last discussion, we still think that he's gonna have some way to get out of this, Ujiko, with pulling out. I don't know. Maybe Shigura. He wakes up Shiggy, or
Ooh.
I feel like I think Shiggy's definitely gonna wake up, but he's not gonna do it now. But I don't know what the hell.
I mean,
no.
I mean,
if he
listen,
was to do it now, I mean, it'd be pretty insane. But I really do doubt it. Also,
well, listen, there's plenty of ways to get out of this without Shiggy. First of all, Mirko doesn't have to fight alone because Crush zoomed into the panel when Mirko first busted through the first set of doors. Crush was right behind her. She's just a fucking bunny. She's just fucking Bugs Bunny on Lola Bunny on fucking drugs.
Yeah.
And so, of course, she's speeding faster than Crush, but she still got 2 of the top 10 heroes back to back. So they're going to be up there. So easily, I'm pretty sure he might be freaked out now, but he was trying to get the fuck out of there. And yes, he probably, I mean, he could have sent whatever high end. He does have backup, but honestly, he's trying to get his masterpiece, his fucking perfect perfection out the place. So I wouldn't be too concerned about anything else but my quickest route out. So I'm pretty sure he still does have a high end or two or some advanced no move to fucking go ahead and fight. I mean, we seen that giant ass motherfucker come out of nowhere with another no move implanted inside his mouth that had drills. That was just freaky as shit.
That's true.
Or just playing around and not some psychosomatic fucking Silent Hill shit.
Absolutely.
Uh,
And I don't know, Hori was moving different with some of these panels, man. I mean, I'm not even talking about like that one Miracle shot. I'm talking about stuff like I mentioned before with the Doctor. God Almighty, how does he come up with these expressions?
No, I think 260 easily the best chapter art wise. Even from the big moments to even the small moments, like the heroes evacuating, Crust in the background. You can even look at it, some of it where the Doctor is moving around the lab. He's like rolling around in a wheelchair. So I think this is probably one of the best chapters art wise, easily the best chapter. I can't think of a better chapter than this.
no doubt. There's so much like detail put into like almost every panel. It is just amazing.
Yes, 100%.
I think one of my most favorite little details outside of the present mic one, the hero who's Gentle's classmate or former classmate, he's actually in the chapter. He's in the background, but he's there.
Yeah, I think ectoplasm was also shown too, and I don't remember him.
So.
I can't remember seeing him in the when they first stormed the hospital. That's why I bring that up. But if he was, and I missed it. But yeah, it's just like these small details that I think really makes the chapter.
mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, Horikoshi's obviously, I think, had his art improve over the length of the series so far, and I think that's just something that happens with every mangaka as they obviously they keep on doing it weekly with their series. It's just to have amazing art every week, in which we saw it this week. But I guess we could go into what do you guys predict will happen next week, because it looks like a teaser or I guess a teaser came out for what we're going to see for next week's chapter, in which is focused on the evacuation team just for the city, right? And did they mention something about the mansion, I think? Or
I thought it was a fight against the PLF.
They said
the clash against the PLF.
The heroes of the PLF clash.
Right.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, knowing
Actually, that kind of leads. Hey, go ahead, Red.
I was gonna say, knowing that, what do you guys think will happen for the next chapter?
Well, I want to be frank. We can't. I don't want to put. I mean, we know it's gonna happen, but I don't want to put too much stock into what that teaser. Because remember, NVA for like 10 chapters, they kept saying, "It's coming to the climax. It's coming to the climax. This showdown, the climax. This showdown, the climax." Like, but based off how we know how Hori writes, he does his strongest suit is doing multiple teams at one time, like doing multiple actions, keeping on multiple people at one time. That was the peak at NVA. We were bouncing around left and right, but it was also
same with Overhaul.
Yeah. So and this is like the biggest flex for that strength. So it's like you got 3 different teams doing 3 different things, and there's like a bunch of shit going on. Even even between those things, you got like heroes moving people at the hospital. You got Miracle, and then Crush finna show up attacking Ujiko with all the other shit in the background. Then you got Endeavor in them up top. Then you got the kids doing what they're doing, all that. So it's like, I feel like you may get just a hint of Ujiko's shit because I don't feel like it's too early to reveal what quirks really are, and his
Yeah.
backstory is gonna be heavily dealt with that. So I feel like we'll get a smidge, and then we'll cut off to whatever Hawkson is doing.
Yeah, that's actually leading to a question I wanted to ask about specifically the arc structure. Do you think Hori's going to do like a 2 to 3, maybe 4 chapters for each team of like the raid overall? It's like we
Yeah.
had like a couple of chapters for the hospital. Now, then the next one we maybe will go to the mansion, and then like 2, 3, maybe 4 chapters after that we'll go to the evacuation, and then back again. Do you think Hori's
Yeah.
going to do something like that this arc, or what do you think?
Yeah,
I'm-
I can
yeah.
see that because to be honest, I didn't think we were gonna get the follow up of the hospital this week. Thought it would be left on a cliffhanger, and then go back to that maybe next week or the week after that or something. But yeah, but I think next week definitely we're going to the PLF mansion. It's just because of the Hawks in the beginning.
Hmm.
But I can see him doing 3 chapters of the mansion, then 2-3 chapters of the of the evacuation with Deku and the main cast, and then back to the hospital or wherever is most interesting. I think.
Well, a
What do you?
question to add on to that: Do you guys see him? Do you guys see a skipping time? I'm pretty sure I see a skipping time
No.
to cut the fluff out. Like some people are already beating action, and we won't need
Nah,
less. I'm saying no.
I don't see that. I think what we'll get is boom at the time. Like I think the beginning of when he separates and goes on focus, it'll be like hospital raid started at this time, so this is what's going on in the mansion.
Yeah, that's what I
Hospital
mean.
raid happened at this time. The evacuation is going like this.
Yeah, that's what I
While
mean.
this
Like,
is going on, this is going on.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, we'll already see the kids doing the evacuation for their thing. Like, at the same time.
Nah, I think he'll want to focus on exactly like with the I think it'll continue because we got that scene of burning and them jumping right.
Yeah.
I think he would pick up from that scene. I feel like that's what he would do. That's how I
Okay.
can see it.
Okay.
Like you're going back in time a couple like
Yeah.
minutes sort of thing.
Mhm.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah.
Mm.
And Chris, what do you think, bro?
When it comes down to it, I think the next chapter is probably gonna be at the villa generally, and I don't think they're gonna do any type of time skips or just like remove fluff or anything. But I'd like to see them kind of do something with, I guess what Gege currently doing with Shibuya or was doing in the beginning, where they'd have timestamps for it when everything's happening throughout the entire time.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I think that he should do that as well.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good ways. I think, I know I don't know if I was skeptical, or I think some people might have been skeptical after last week's chapter, in which it's like, oh, the doctor's corner, like, is this war really gonna happen? And it's like, of course it's gonna happen. Like, you don't write all these groups that are in 3 separate areas and like draw them out specifically for like what reason. Like, all of them are gonna get action, easy to go, and I think give time to everything throughout this arc. Which I'm actually curious now. I guess we can end it off here. How many chapters do you think this arc will be?
I would say a little bit longer than Overhaul, so probably like 50 chapters or so. Maybe a little bit more than that. I can't imagine an arc of this scale like right off the bat going as, or actually then again I suppose that we've already had a bunch of chapters at the beginning, because like the whole Endeavor agency thing is still technically connected to this right now, but I still think we're gonna get a fairly long arc, probably longer than Overhaul at the very least.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
50, 60
it-
chapters seems like a good cap
it's-
to me.
It's gonna be long, but probably because all these spreads he's doing. Because these past couple chapters have been kind of going by pretty fast. That's because it's these spreads, and it's gonna be a big fight. And I know they said back when Marine Ford was airing, there was a lot of chapters just mainly just like being double spreads fight battles, you know.
Mhm.
So I think that's where most of the main chapter or the main bulk of the chapter will be. That makes it seem like it's really long
Yeah.
because we might just get some fight scenes, for the entire chapter.
I,
Yeah.
You guys think Shiggy will wake up during this arc at some point, right?
Oh, easily. He's
Yeah,
easily waking up.
absolutely.
Yeah,
We have to.
100%.
There is no
Yeah.
doubt
Do you
about
think,
that.
though-
I don't doubt that.
Do you think that like Deku goes up against him, or like do you think he'll like wipe everyone, or like?
No,
Deku-
Deku won't go up against him.
I think of the Clash. I think it's about time they meet once again.
I mean,
I
I,
don't-
suppose so. Actually, you know what? I think that will probably happen.
Yeah, because it's about
Assuming
time.
like we go into a time skip or something.
Yeah, it's about time they actually meet once again. Especially since what's going to happen to All Might and all things considered. Like, it's not going to be a fight. You know Deku finna get that ass spanked. But it's just like they need to find the Clash again. Because all they've been doing is been dancing around it. Well, matter of fact, Shiggy hasn't been concerned with that nigga Deku at all. Deku been hearing about Shiggy.
I don't know. I can't see them meeting this chapter only because last time Shigaraki seen Deku was in the mall, and his last words were to Deku, "Next time we meet, I'll have to kill you."
Was that the mall?
And yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
That's the end of season 2,
Mhm.
right?
It's 'cause
Yeah,
like,
and
Yeah.
season two. Yeah. And I don't know. I just don't know. Deku obviously isn't at any type of power to go
No.
after
No, he
Shigaraki,
saw him in
especially
season
after
3.
he wakes up.
You saw him in season 3 during the hideout raid. Remember? They
Oh
had Bakugo
yeah,
escape.
Oh yeah, true.
yeah.
Nah,
But
he didn't.
I think for like
It's a-
meeting
Oh, yeah,
wise,
meeting,
they're
yeah.
not gonna meet this chapter or this arc. I'm sorry, this arc. I don't know. I just can't see it because Shigaraki's gonna be way too overpowered.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
he
how,
can,
but how
he
does he
can be overpowered, but I don't think that means that they don't have to meet.
Because I mean, there's ways for him to get away. I guess you could say that. But at the same time, it's like, how does Deku find about Shiggy killing All Might? Because that's going down.
I don't know though.
But what
That's
the
what I want to
face that-
believe. All Might's dying, but like,
What
there's
about the
so
face
much
that twists
evidence
the
and
future?
support that he's not gonna die.
The fist that twists
Yeah,
the
I
future.
can honestly, I can see that happening too. Just with the way that the arc's going around, and like All Might's not involved with this at all. He's probably just chilling at UA right now. So unless Shiggy wakes up and then immediately just wipes everyone at the hospital and then jumps over to UA, I mean, I didn't see like how All Might's going to be involved in the arc.
Yeah. Well,
Unless
That boy
the
All Might's
the
gonna put
raid
the hero
team,
suit back on.
unless the raid team decides to dump UA.
I mean, this arc could be connected though, because it's gonna have major drawbacks. Like every arc connects to something else, but this one will have major drawbacks and leading to
True.
something else. Because technically, this isn't the full-out war arc since the villains had to speed up their time because they're waiting for Shiggy to come out.
Yeah.
So this could be
Is
like the
Shiggy
first
even-
scrimmage.
Is Shiggy
I
even
mean, 'cause-
close to coming out of his metamorphosis?
it's like a month.
He had a
He got a month away.
but he's just healing though.
Oh.
That's the thing. He's already ready. He's just healing now.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the healing chamber, or else he would. Because Ujiko said you're gonna be doing 4 months of hell. That don't look like hell. And then he said Shigaraki is more perfect than I expected. So now Shiggy's in the air. I know that's a fucking healing too. So now he's just resting up in order to come back.
Hmm.
And then by the way, and then the PLF already knows that the heroes are attacking too. So by the time they roll up in that mansion, it's a wrap.
That's true.
Because remember they had to stop the Trent. They had to stop John and Ujiko first. So then the league and everybody in the mansion had no way to get out.
Yeah.
So the raid team on that side is still standing still until they had confirmation. Yo, we got the doctor and we got them down. So Ujiko has communications with the league. So them niggas know that like, yo, this nigga pulled up because Ujiko knew before they even attacked him.
yeah, I think that's maybe a good point to end because it's kind of seemed like the conversation is kind of going in circles of where we see the future arcs gonna go or what's gonna be shown, and I think there's really only so much you can guess and actually predict because there's like about the prison break or like what's gonna happen here. You just really don't really just kind of have to wait to find out how pieces will be used and stuff. But if you want to follow, I guess anyone's Twitter account, they'll be put down in the description. Thanks for tuning in if you stayed this long to listen and hear what I guess the discussion we had to say. But yeah, thanks for tuning in. Bye.